views and opinions of the guests on the Wylena Show are those of the guests and are not necessarily the views and opinions of the hostess Wylena and or her co-host.
What happens when you get into road rage with a Christian? I want to know, and inquiring minds want to know too. So listen, everybody, I'm excited that you came back. Y'all know who I am. I'm Wylena, the Las Vegas Queen of Gospel, and it is an awesome day today. I'm excited that everybody came back. I am just so looking forward to the show again today. I am looking forward to my guests that I have with me today. I brought back my same guests, and they are going to be sharing some more information with everybody. All of you out there who are watching on WylenaTVShow.com, and everybody who is watching on YouTube and Google Hangout and Tumblr and all our Facebook fans, and everybody who is watching in Pakistan, everybody who is watching all over the whole wide world, wherever you are tuning into the Wylena Show from, we are excited that you came back today, and I tell you what, it's going to be on. The rubber is going to meet the road up off in here, everybody, and I want y'all to know that I'm just excited about it. Okay, so listen, I first want to give an extra special shout out to all the mothers in the world, you know, all the mothers in the world, whoever is a mother, and stepmothers and godmothers and grandmothers and everybody that has the title of a mother on her title there. Okay, just want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day, and I hope that you're enjoying your families and everybody's showing you lots and lots of love. Okay, all right, so listen, today the phone lines will be open for you to call in, and we will be looking forward to your calls, and that will happen at 5:15. And also, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we are having something like a thunderstorm here in Las Vegas, so hopefully we will not lose you today. Hopefully the show will go on. But if it doesn't, then guess what? It's beyond my control. I have nothing to do with it, okay? So it is what it is if that's what happens. But if it doesn't, then guess what? The rubber is going to meet the road right here on the Wylena Show. Okay, and so if you want to call in, feel free to do so at 1-866-945-1110. That's 1-866-945-1110. And you can also call 702-527-4471. That's 702-527-4471. Okay, and if you call the number and you cannot get through, please hang up, watch the show, and try to call back in again at a different time. Okay, because apparently somebody else is on the line at that moment. All right, and so but we look forward to your calls and your concerns and your questions and your comments. And when you call in, state your name and what city and state you're calling from. We appreciate that, because that way we know exactly where you're calling from and who you are. Okay, and if you have If you're calling in and you're calling on the phone, of course, using your phone then, and you're on the computer watching the show, then please turn the volume down on your computer. Please turn the volume completely down on your computer so that way you do not listen to the computer, only listen to the telephone when you call in. And once you finish asking your question or making your comment, then you hang up and you can watch the show. There is a delay, so that's one of the main reasons why we ask you to please turn the volume down so that you do not get distracted by what you're hearing on the computer and something else on the phone. Okay? All right. So, listen, I'm just... I tell you what, I'm just so excited to be back with y'all, and I just can't wait. So look, I want to go ahead and reintroduce, bring back my two guests that I have with me that have been sharing with us for the past couple of weeks, and this is the final cut. This is the final cut of what kind of attitude do Christians have, and do they deal with road rage? Do they tell you to go to hell if you get in their way on the road? Or what happens with Christian folks, okay? And do Christian people have such bad attitudes that they can create an atheist? I want to know, and inquiring minds want to know. And guess what? We got a universal Christian, and we have an ex-Mormon, currently atheist, on the show right now. And so I am going to reintroduce to you, my first guest is K. Scott, and I'm going to call him Ken. Ken is Universal Christian. Ken, how are you today?
I am doing great, Ms. Wylener. Hi, and thanks for having me back. And I will echo what you said, which is Happy Mother's Day to you and everyone else out there. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Ken, and for joining us again. I really greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure the listeners and viewers do as well. And just remember, everybody, also the Wylener Show runs on Spreaker.com, okay? So it's audio only, so if you want to just listen to the show sometime, you can actually go to Spreaker.com and type in Wylener Show, and you will find previous recorded shows there on Spreaker.com. Okay? Now let's go back and let's find my ex-Mormon, currently atheist guy. Joe Rawlins. Joe Rawlins, are you with me?
I am very much with you, and I also want to extend to all the mothers out there, and particularly to my lovely bride, Molly, who's the mother of my beautiful 3 children. Happy Mother's Day to you, and I'm very glad to be on the show with Mr. Scott, who has really given me a run for my money. Normally, when I argue with Christian, I'm used to having someone who's accustomed to getting a little angrier, and he is really showing a good Christ-like example here, and so I have enjoyed these sessions with him, and I hope to communicate with you in the future, Ken.
Okay, I tell you what, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We just got a compliment given to Ken from the atheist guy that says you're being Christ-like. Woo! Okay, kudos to you, Ken. Ken, would you like to comment on that comment that Mr. Joe just made to you?
Yeah. I would say thank you for that. It's a compliment of the highest type, and I too have enjoyed it. I think we have some similar thought processes. I think that my critical thinking leads me one way, and Joe's critical thinking leads him the other way. And I just from looking at his book and his site, I know he's a brilliant guy, and I would say that we are going to communicate following your show, and I think Joe might open his mind up a bit to some things, and we'll continue. So it's been really fun.
Well, you know what, guys? I tell you what, I think it's excellent. I think it's excellent. I think it's a great thing, and I feel pretty good my doggone self over here, because I feel like I've made a mutual connection between two people, and possibly more for that matter. You just never know, But at least I know for sure that I've helped two people to join together and put their minds together, and you never know what these two guys will come up with. You guys out there that's watching out there on WildLenaTVShow.com and everywhere else that you're watching, please remember these guys are authors, okay? They are two authors, so I don't know. I don't know. They might fool around and write another book, and we don't know what that one's going to be about. Okay, but anyway, let's move forward. Okay, so guys, let's get this party started. Are you ready for the rubber to meet the road?
I'm ready.
Hello.
I'm ready.
All right, then. Okay, so listen, I want to start out by sharing something, having a little fun with you guys. The show is about Christians and road rage, right? And their attitudes, and Christians' attitudes in relation to how they carry themselves in all types of situations. But we've been talking about, what does a Christian do in the midst of road rage, and so I just found something a little funny, and I'd like to share this audio presentation with you guys real quick. So just relax and listen to this, would you?
What's wrong with you? Jesus! You need Jesus! Yeah? Go read the Bible! Go! Damnation! Damnation is where you're gonna go. Renew my mind, Lord. Renew my mind right now. Mother Mary! You lucky I'm getting off the highway right now, because I will come lay my hands on you. I will pray You're stopping at a yellow light. That means press the gas to go. Yellow means go. Idiots. You're idiots, Lord. Lord, they're idiots. You idiots. Calm down, Mark. Calm down. Keep your salvation. He loves them. Jesus, I know you love them. Lord, don't judge me. You know my heart. You know my heart, Lord. You know my heart. Well, you're too slow to be driving that SUV? You barely see over the steering wheel. Oh, we'll see how great. God is great, but you're a fool. You are an idiot. Lord, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding with them. It was a joke, Lord. Can't be walking in late for church. Move! I'm taking down your license plate. And I'm going to write it on my prayer list because I'm going to pray for you. Lord, center me, Lord. Wade in the water. I'm waiting here. Hello? That's my parking space. You saw me? Pastor Bob, you went. Jesus loves the little idiots and all the idiot drivers on the road. Lord, I know you said you'd never send a flood, but if you can send a flood just to wipe out. Dang it, I'm late to lead worship.
Phenomenal.
Okay, guys. Talk to me, guys. Let's see. I think I got such a kick out of that. I tell you, I really got a kick out of that, and so I said I wanted to share that with the listeners and the viewers and my two guests. So I want to get you guys' feedback. Let's start with Ken. Ken, what do you say about that?
Listen, I actually saw that, and I remembered that, and it was after I wrote the book. drive me to think, which is really about this. Is I think everyone can see at least a little bit of themselves in that, and whoever drives slower than you is one thing, and whoever drives faster than you is another thing, and we're not saying that you're acting like this. We're actually calling that person an idiot, right? So what is it about driving that brings this side of us out? And you can hear the battle, right? So he's a religious guy, and he's battling with his own mind about how, you're in my way, but help me, Lord, get past it. So it's, yes, it's hypocritical, fine, but we're all human. We're all kind of facing this battle. But there is something about driving that tends to bring out the worst in us. It's the unkindest, the most impatient, especially when we're late. At the end, did I hear him correctly say, I'm late to go lead worship? It's just, so he's going to go lead worship after damning several people and all of that. But I don't see it as much more than the state of being human. And it does take a lot to forgive. And something about driving, if you can identify with any of that at all, then it makes this point that driving is a great practice ground for forgiveness.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Ken, for that. I figured you would get a kick out of it, and it is understandable that you've seen it before, considering that you wrote the book "Drive Me to Think." Okay, so yeah. But when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta share this one. Okay, so let's see what Joe has to say about it. Hello, Joe. What you got?
Hello. Yeah, it sounds like a Christian to me. No, just kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. No. We're going to get a little atheist Bible study here, because I was thinking about it, this week actually, and I said, you got two great examples of anger in two different contexts in the Bible. One is Jesus overturning the tables of the money changers, right, in the temple. And then another one is Moses striking the rock to make water flow out for the children of Israel. Now, make no mistake, I don't think either of these people existed, or at least not in the context that they're believed to be. But the lesson I have always taken from that, back when I did believe that the Bible was true, was what is the difference between righteous indignation and rage? And in the case of, if you read the Bible, you believe Moses lost his right to, you probably believe Moses lost his right to see the promised land because of that incident with the rock, because he struck it with the rock. But the difference that I have always believed, and that I used to teach when I was a Mormon, was that the difference was that Moses strikes the rock and says to the children of Israel, do you see what I've done? Do you see what I do for you? You see the lengths I go through for you, and how you doubted me? And whereas Jesus, when he overturns the money changers, the tables of the money changers, and makes a whip and drives out the cattle and purifies the temple, he says, make not my Father's house into a den of thieves. And so the difference really was that Moses is treating anger as a way of expressing his entitlement. I'm entitled to that parking space. I'm entitled to change lanes right now. I'm entitled to lead this worship. I'm entitled to be there on time without you getting in my way, as opposed to Jesus saying, this is my Lord's house, this is my Father's house, this is God's holy work, and you won't corrupt my Father's work. And so that was the difference between righteous indignation and rage. So I just thought that was an interesting observation with absolutely no atheist slant whatsoever.
Okay. All right, well, Joe, thanks for that atheist Bible study. I mean, that's what you called it anyway. Okay. All right, so listen, we have a caller on the line, and so let's see what our caller has to say. Okay. Hello, caller. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Okay, fine, thank you. Will you state your name and where you're calling from, please?
My name is Clayton. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I called last week, and I have a question still that I want to get off, and I know it's kind of off your topic, but I would like to get an answer to this question if I can.
Okay, no problem. Go right ahead and ask your question.
Okay, my question is, again, about Adam and Eve. Quite a few pastors have told me that Adam and Eve had free will, but I don't understand how you can have free will if you're not fully understanding what that free will is. And my thinking is they got free will once they ate from the forbidden fruit. But how is it that that question is on my mind and I can't find an answer to them having free will before eating the fruit? And if you don't mind, if you would elaborate on that for me, I appreciate it.
Okay, Mr. Clayton, thank you very much for calling in. And if you want to go back to your computer, I will start with our universal Christian, because I think he will be the most logical. even though we have the atheist guy here, but I think he elaborated on your question last week. So let's allow our universal Christian to kind of come back to you on that. And then if you're not completely satisfied with your answer, you can feel free to give us a call back, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for calling. Okay, we're going to give that to you, Ken, this time, and allow you to respond to the caller in relation to what he said. Ken, did you hear the caller clearly?
Yeah. I think I got it. And let me start by saying I would venture to guess that Joe is more studied and versed on the Bible than I am. I would bet. But to answer the question, the free will is part of the human condition. So the right to choose, and therefore the right to react to temptation, and that is both fail the temptation test and pass the temptation test, and then hopefully learn that passing the temptation test is a better avenue. It's a more guiltless way to go. There wouldn't be this human experience with its challenges without free will and temptation. So the whole thing may be to get to a point of learning through forgiveness and what I call transcendent forgiveness, the rising above temptation, and learning that moving closer to God feels better than succumbing to such temptation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate that. Now, Joe, I'm going to let you set this one out, okay? Because you kicked in last week on that person's question, so let's hope that the person is satisfied, I hope, anyway. But if he's not, I'm sure he'll call back, because he called last week and he wasn't too, he feels that nobody is answering that question for him. And so, and I think he's wanting to answer from, I think, more of a Christian person, not trying to knock you, Joe, okay? But an answer from more of a Christian person than on the atheist side. Now, if he disagrees with me and he wants to hear what the atheist guy has to say, once again, which, like I said, I do remember you elaborating on that last week. Okay, so we'll move forward and we'll see what happens. Thanks, Ken, for that. Okay, so listen, guys, last week I left you with a scenario. Okay, and I'm gonna run that scenario one more time, and then we will see if you remember my scenario, and then you will be prepared to give me your response. And I want a response from an atheist point of view, and I want a response from a universal Christian point of view. Okay? But it looks like we have a caller on the line, and so let's see. I don't know if it's the same caller or if it's a new caller. Hello, caller. How are you?
Yes, it's phone call. I'm calling back. Okay, I think you misunderstood my question. My question was, I have been told that Adam and Eve had free will, and they posed the free will as before eating the fruit. I'm wondering as to how is it possible they could have had the free will before eating the fruit. I can understand having the free will after the fruit because now you know the difference between right and wrong. But how did they have the free will before the fruit? And, did you understand me?
Okay, I understand you, and I believe that Ken does too. He's shaking his head yes. So I'm going to let Ken go ahead and respond to that. If you want to, I'm not sure if you're sitting in front of your computer or how you're doing it this time. Okay, so if you want to
I'll hang up.
Okay.
I won't hang up to get the answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for calling. Okay, so Ken, go right ahead.
Okay, yeah, and thank you. And I'll be quick on this because I think Joe might be able to lend something here. I think that my answer quickly is that it is part of the human condition to have free will, and they learned of their free will by actually making that decision. So it was there, and then they exercised it. Joe?
Yeah, I think that's a good.
So Ken, thanks for that, and so it looks like Ken, you are not the host of this show.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
You just chill. Okay, so wait a minute. I'm gonna go ahead since Ken wants your help, Joe. I mean, I'm not comprehending why Ken feel like he needs your help, especially help from an atheist. But let's see where we really coming from around this camp. Okay, you as Universal Christian Ken need help from an atheist. So let's see what the atheist help is gonna be. Go right ahead, Joe.
You bet, absolutely. And now an ex-Mormon atheist. Now Mormons believe that Adam and Eve didn't have agency in the Garden of Eden necessarily until they partook of the fruit of the knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and that was always the plan. In other words, that Eve did not sin but transgressed, but that she did so according to plan, and that all the worlds that God's children have populated started out in the same way. And that the core, basically, of human experience, like Ken says, is choosing between good and evil, and that if you can't sin, you can't choose those things. You don't have free will until you have those things. Now, as an atheist, taking it from a philosophical perspective on free will, in the Korahor argument, I talk about a paradigm, kind of a parable called Buridan's Ass, in which a donkey goes into a field and he sees two haystacks. Now, the haystacks are exactly the same. There's no reason to distinguish one as better than the other. And he's exactly equidistant to both of them. Which one does the hungry donkey eat first? And in the parable, it's concluded he doesn't. He lays down and he dies of starvation because he can't arbitrarily choose where there is absolutely no question there. And I compare that to Joseph in the Bible, Saint Joseph. You know, Saint Joseph, we're told, you know, the angel Gabriel appears to him, tells him, look, your wife or your betrothed is not pregnant with another man's baby. The child within her is begotten of the Holy Ghost. You know, and so the question is, does Saint Joseph have free will? Or does he have the opportunity to say, I am not raising this baby, it's not my baby, I don't care whose it is. Can he choose for himself if God's ability to fulfill his prescient or his foreknowledge is at stake? And I think it's a legitimate question. I think from an atheist perspective, we would say there likely is not free will, but that we should regard ourselves as if we do have free will so that we can make adequate decisions.
Okay. See there, Ken? All right. So anyway, thanks, Joe. Thanks for that. And let's see. We have another call on the line, so let's see what the caller has to say. Hello, caller. How are you?
Hello, how's it going?
Okay. State your name and where you're calling from.
This is Brother Marcello from Houston, Texas.
Okay, Marcello from Houston, Texas. Hello, Marcello from Houston, Texas. Do you
Hello.
Thanks for calling. Okay, so do you have a comment or a question for the universal Christian or the atheist? Which one and who and what?
Oh. Well, this is for
This call is now
the
being
universal
recorded.
Christian. And I know last week he made a statement about Muslims, Christians, and Catholics believing in the same God. Well, I believe a little bit different than that, because I know that Muslims believe that Allah is God, and Christians believe that Jesus is God, and I know Catholics, they worship an entity called the Queen of Heaven, who they say is Mary. But the Queen of Heaven is mentioned in the book of Jeremiah, and Mary wasn't even born in order for her to be an entity or a God. And if we were to worship Mary, then that's making her equal to God. And God said, "Don't put no other God before me."
Oh, okay. So that is for the universal Christian. Is that correct, Mr. Marcello?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you able to stay on the line, or do you need to hang up and take your answer?
I think I might need to hang up and take the answer.
Okay. All right. So feel free to call back in if he doesn't answer. So I'm going to give that to Mr. Ken Scott, the universal Christian, for you. All right. So go ahead and hang up and take your answer off the air. All right. So K. Scott, the floor is all yours.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, and thanks for the call-in question. Muslims call God the one God, the monotheistic God. They call him, that power, Allah. Christians call it the head of the Trinity, the Father, God, and Jesus Christ sits at his right side. So and was human God. As far as that, the Catholic Mary and your argument there, I must say that I agree with you that I wouldn't subscribe to that belief, but I also wouldn't say that it's wrong. I like taking more of the position that I'm open-minded to all these things, and that no one really knows, with a capital K, what's true. But you have your beliefs, and you use them to get you through and to get you to this point, hopefully, of practicing forgiveness all the time. So I don't like to kind of argue who's right and wrong, but as monotheists, there is the one God, and I believe it's acknowledged that for the three major monotheistic religions, that we all agree that is the same entity, presence, power.
Wow! The rubber meets the road on the Wally Show, and you know what, Ken Scott, that's deep. What you just shared, that's deep. Wow. So everybody, the same. It sounds like to me you're saying that everybody. What I think I'm getting from you is like everybody is basically serving or honoring the same big creator out there, big almighty creator out there. No matter whether you want to call him Allah, God, Jesus, Yahweh, Yahshua, Elohim, Jehovah, I don't know. But am I understanding you correct, Ken?
Yeah. So creator, universe, God, love, I think the label doesn't so much matter, but I do believe in the Trinity, so that there is the Almighty, the all that is creative force, and then there is also Jesus Christ, I believe, for us in this time wrinkle, if you so subscribe to that story of forgiveness helping lead us to God, to eternal joy. And then there is the Holy Spirit, the third part of the Trinity, that is the God within us, in our hearts, that we can turn to. And it's my belief that we should turn to that more than we turn to our sacred books at times. So let the books guide us a bit, but then turn to your hearts for truth when something doesn't quite feel right. Be it go out and cut off the fingertips of non-believers, or go judge homosexuals, or any of that stuff. When it doesn't rub you the right way, then turn to your heart, and the Holy Spirit resides there.
Wow! I love it! I love it! The rubber meets the road on the Wild Lady Show, and it is supposed to today because it's the final cut. But anyway, thanks for that, Kay Scott. And thanks again for the caller that called in and the other caller that called in. Thank you so much, you guys. You're awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so listen, we got to move forward because in a minute, I'm not going to have no time to ask no questions. But it's okay if y'all want to keep calling, keep calling. It's all good. I'm not even going to fuss about it. I'm just going to, y'all just make my job a whole lot easier. That's all. So call in if you want to. But listen, guys, at least for right now, since there is no callers on the line, I'm going to go back to my scenario that I left you with last week, and I want to know from an atheist point of view and from a non-atheist point of view, and I need you guys to make your answers short for me. Please do not carry me all the way through the whole BIBLE or whatever the case may be. Please make your answer short. The scenario that I gave you at the end of the show last week, if you remember correctly, I said you're driving around in your car for the past 5 to 10 minutes in the work parking lot, and you're looking for a space, of course, and you are already late for work. You finally find one, and so you think, and you wait patiently for this person to come out of the space, and of course, sitting there patiently with your turn signal on, so happy that you found a space. Finally, of course, you are a religious person, and along comes someone from the other direction and jumps in front of you, whips into the space after the other person backs out. You and the other person both know you were there first. OMG! What is your response? Do you cuss? Do you give the finger? Do you get out and say, you need to move your car? I was here first. You see me sitting there with my turn signal on? What is your problem? What is your problem? Or do you say you bleep, 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 bleep? Or do you just smile and drive away and say, God bless them? You know what? Kay Scott?
Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear from you. Joe, you chill out over there. I got you. Don't you worry, Joe. I know you're itching in your feet. But it's all good. Take a break, Joe. Kick back and have a cup of Joe. All right. Ken Scott, talk to me.
Okay, yeah. Joe, I'll try to be quick, buddy. So, so here's why it's a good one. It's as you stated, Ms. Weiliner, and why it's so challenging is that you just said that we know, I as a driver know that that other driver saw me waiting there, which makes it a little bit more difficult for my Trinity of Forgiveness, which I'll go through very quickly. First part of the Trinity of Forgiveness is, have I ever done that? And for this one, my answer is no. I really have not knowingly cut in front of someone and took a spot. So then you can move on to the second part of the Trinity, which is there anyone I love in my life who would do that, or act like that, maybe do that? And I've got some relatives and some friends that are rough around the edges, and they might. So I'm getting a little closer to being able to say, you know what, if that was my buddy, I could kind of laugh that off. And if I could, then you're at forgiveness. The third part is just kind of what I call transcendent forgiveness, which is to rise above the situation. But I'm also, and just say that, these types of things are presented. The reason for this coming into my experience is for the challenge, to make it a little more challenging to forgive again and again and again. However, I'm a realist. I played football and ice hockey and I box, so I'm not always the one that's going to sit there and just forgive. So I think it is not terrible to politely and nicely say, did you see me there? So, however, I wouldn't do that. Not now. I'm not. There's a lot of danger. There's people that are a little nuts out there. They shoot people. Confrontation, if you can avoid it, always. to me, I would want to take that as a big kind of challenge for the day of forgiveness. Giggle, bless that person, hope that they find a little bit more kindness, and off I go to find a parking spot. And I'd hope they needed it worse than I did. That's all.
Oh yeah, Ken Scott. Yes, indeed. You are so right. Because nowadays it is just you don't know what to expect from people, and you don't know exactly who you saying. Did you see me sitting there? Because you might end up MIA. Okay? But listen, we got a call on the line, and so let's see what the caller has to say. Joe, looks like you're going to have to sit this one out. Hello, caller. How are you?
Hello, this is Brother Marcello again.
Okay. Okay. All right. What's your question?
I thank Brother Ken for answering the question, but it's just one part that Christians don't believe. We don't believe in the Trinity.
Oh.
We believe that we believe that the Old Testament God was a spirit, in the New Testament He became flesh, because the Bible says in 1 Timothy 3:16, God was manifest in flesh. So the same one from the days of Adam and Eve and Abraham has become flesh in the days of the New Testament. And where we know that Jesus is not flesh anymore now, is what we call the Holy Ghost. We believe that it was one that had three jobs. In the Old Testament, He was a spirit. In the New Testament, He became flesh. But He's not flesh now. He's what we call the Holy Spirit. So that's one thing I would like to add in there.
Oh. Whoa.
So, and I know that the Muslims, they don't see Jesus as God, which we do, but they see Jesus only a prophet.
Okay. Okay. So whoa. Okay. Let me let Mr. Ken kick back in on that, and then I think I'm gonna let Joe jump in, because I just got a feeling that Joe has just got ants in his pants over there. So we got he wants to help make the rubber meet the road on this last show right here. So I'm gonna boy, I tell you, y'all know what? I have so much fun on the Wild Eater Show. It's just a grand, beautiful shame. I love it when I do this show. Okay, so thank you so much, caller, for calling in. I appreciate it. And I'm going to let Ken jump in, and then I'm going to give you a taste of a cup of Joe. Okay, caller? I'm going to give you a taste of the atheist guy, a cup of Joe. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks for calling. Okay, Ken.
Okay, yeah. So I'll be quick. The good Reverend is right on all counts. A Course in Miracles, and I won't get into it, does discuss the Trinity, and I personally subscribe to that. Although I do also agree with the good Reverend. And of course, he is right about what Muslims, or how Muslims regard Jesus as a prophet, not necessarily the Son of God. So that's my bit.
Okay. Okay. Now, Joe, we have another caller on the line. Joe. Joe, so callers come first, Joe. I'm sorry, but we got to take the call first, okay? So, Joe, let's see what the caller wants to say. Hello, caller. How are you?
Okay, yeah. So we call him back. Now, on your topic about a Christian acting openly with himself. Now, how many people actually take it as an opportunity for God to show you that maybe He's making a way for you by allowing some of those things to happen? People cut you off from traffic, or somebody pulls into your parking space you've been waiting on. Sometimes we don't really look to the bigger picture, because the person that pulled in that parking space, that might be the person that's going to receive whatever's going to fall out the sky and hit their car, which God has spared you from. We don't look at the bigger picture, but sometimes being hindered is a help. So if they can elaborate on that, I'll be listening. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, caller. Thanks for calling in. Okay. Okay. So listen, everybody. Okay. Look, this is what we got to do. Right now, it's time. These two guys have 5 to 6 minutes each to do their closing presentation. Okay, that's what I promised them. So I'm gonna have Joe go first. And Joe, I'm gonna give you an additional minute. You know, because I know you've wanted to say some things, and so I would like it very much, Joe, if you would elaborate on everything you want to say first with that first minute, and then take the next 5 minutes to go into your closing presentation. Okay, and thank you very much, callers, for calling in and all that. And we can't take any more calls today because we got to let these guys do their closing thoughts and their closing presentation. So, Joe, the floor is all yours. I have nothing else to say until your time is up. Okay, so right now it is 4:46. So I'm going to give you at least 6 minutes. I may even give you 7. It just depends on how much time we have left. Okay, so go for it, Joe.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and tackle some of these questions from the callers, because I think that we're touching base on the real issue behind rage. I mean, we talk about rage as if it's anger, right? But really, ultimately, what rage is the kind of anger that incites violence, right? I mean, that's why road rage is so particularly dangerous. It blinds you to the danger that you may be in. It blinds you to the situation that you may be in. You don't know if that other person has a gun. You don't know if that other person has a history of violence. You don't know anything about that situation, so you could put yourself into some serious danger. And so we see that whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Buddhist, you're an atheist, rage is dangerous, you know, because it makes people act without thinking. Now, as far as whether Christians do it, Christians are human beings just like anybody else. But I'd like to talk a little bit about the specific problem as it relates to Christians, and that is this statement that we as Christians don't believe in. Now, you can say we as Christians don't believe in the Trinity, but we touched a little bit on the first show we did. I got into this history lesson about homooustios and homoioustios, which are the way that the first major battle over the nature of Jesus. I'm going to break it down even simpler than that. There was 300, 400 years where Christians had no idea what they believed. I mean, that Jesus rose from the dead, some Christians yes, some Christians no. It wasn't a core tenet of a lot of people's faith. Now, maybe St. Eusebius, but, you know, that's a guy, it's a few people. You have to remember that Christianity started with some pretty humble beginnings. And so what Christians believe, is your Christianity as valid as mine? These are the things that have incited Christians to violence against Christians and driven Christians to kill Christians or to kill, of course, Jews and Muslims and so forth over the centuries. Now, of course, not every Christian is responsible for those things, just like not every Muslim is responsible for terrorism. Not every Christian is responsible for that rage. But what is the core of that rage? Now, we can succumb to the temptation to think that it's all socio-political, right? It's all about access to energy or water or whatever it is, and then we just lump religion into it just because it makes it convenient. For a few leaders, maybe that's the case. But I can't convince a guy to go out and kill other people, take away somebody's son, take away somebody's brother, take away some child's father, and take them off of this earth under the premise that because I need access to the energy that they control, or I need access to that waterway, and so you need to rob this mother of her son. But if I can convince you that that man perverts our religion, that man doesn't love God the way we love God, and so God doesn't love him anymore and has made it manifest to me that we need to wipe him off the map. That makes it a very it's beyond convenient. It's a tool that people can use because it incites rage. Now, so rage is not unique to Christians, but Christians are not immune to it. I mean, it's that anger that incites violence. I used the example earlier about Jesus and the money changers versus Moses striking the rock. Now, again, it's easy for me. I think one of the things that makes this conversation between me and Mr. Scott particularly good, and our points of view come into some unison. He says critical thinking drives him to one conclusion, that there is a God and that there is a purpose in all of this, and me to the other conclusion. I think that's exactly right. He believes that these religions are all true in some aspect, and I believe they're none of them true in any aspect. But it's interesting, the perspectives, because he's saying that if they're all true, then let's not bicker and drive these sectarian differences to incite us to violence and to anger with each other. When I was a Mormon, I can't tell you how many times I heard people in Peru who told me, I'm a Catholic and I believe, or I'm a, whatever, and I believe that all paths lead back to God. And I would get angry as a Mormon missionary and say, that's not what we believe. That's not what I believe. I'm here to tell you there's one path to God, and that door is Jesus, and Mormonism knows the way to get to that door, and your religion does not. I had to get somebody's attention, but that's the kind of difference that faith drives in us. And if we allow that faith to allow us to separate from each other without thinking, like Ken's book, Driving People to Think, if we say, look, you were wrong because you think Jesus is just a prophet, you were wrong because you think God is the Trinity or whatever, then we say, I don't care what you say, I don't care what the difference is, I don't care whether or not it makes sense, I only know you were wrong and I am right. That's when rage becomes part of the problem. So I think that the question on road rage or any kind of rage is, does faith incite violence? Does faith incite that rage? And I would argue, not exclusively, of course. Faith can do some good things, but it is also very dangerous, and faith does, in fact, create rage if it's unchecked.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you very much, Joe Rawlins, ex-Mormon, current atheist. Thank you for being a guest on the show. Appreciate you. And now, Ken Scott, close us out with your thoughts, please.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Whiteliner, and thank you, Joe. And I think you summed it up pretty well, Joe, except that I don't know that I believe all the stories are right. In fact, I don't know anything, and it's such an interesting thing. When I talk to Christians about A Course in Miracles, they turn right off. They no, it's the Bible. It's the Bible. You don't need to go anywhere else. And it's a bit of closed-mindedness, and that's where I open my mind, because A Course in Miracles says, after it gets done saying that everything's all right, basically don't worry about anything too much. The peace of God is that everything's okay despite what's going on in this crazy dream, which is physical time-space reality. The next thing it says, though, is we know nothing. We know nothing. We really don't. A lot of people read a lot of stuff and then will claim to know stuff. But if we all took a little bit of humble pie and realized that we really do know, with a capital K, like really know nothing, then we can start from an even ground and say, oh, you believe that? That's interesting. I open my mind to that. You believe that? I open my mind to that. But the one thing where, yeah, Joe and I, we differ is that my critical thinking says that there is the conservation of energy, which means I am energy, which means when my body dies, something is going to go on. It has to. It's a law, right? It's critically thinking. It's a law. Even though I still know nothing, conservation of energy says that my energy has to live on. It has to. Secondly, there is a pulse at 5 weeks during conception. There's an embryo, and there is no heart. But there is a pulse that is unexplainable by all math and science, and that is what I would say leads my critical thinking to say that there is a force above and beyond that is creative and all loving, because obviously your kids you love, and that's the best thing in your life, and that's love manifest, right? And then thirdly, perhaps to open minds, is that quantum physics proves that crazy things can happen. Particles, the same exact particle can be in the same place at the same time. Great book out there, Biocentrism, which is a book that basically proves that crazy, unexplainable time-space gaps exist. So all of that leads me to believe that miracles happen, and I believe in miracles, and I believe in a creative force. But after all the bickering is gone, I'm sure that that loving creative force that loves every human being no matter what would want us to practice forgiveness, the good kind, not the kind that says you did wrong and I'm going to let you off the hook. The kind that says I'm rising above, we are all one, I've made mistakes too, we're all struggling together, let's forgive each other as much as humanly possible and in our minds as much as possible. And I say, and my book gives it just a great kind of lesson to say, hey, practice it while you're driving because it's challenging. It really is. We do things we would never do face-to-face when we're driving. So practice this while you're driving so that when something happens in your life, like happened to me when my wife of 12 years, we were together 18 years, 3 kids, she fell in love with the gym teacher and forgot to tell me. Basically, I was ready to forgive because I had practiced it for 10 years. And thank God I did because now we're all buddies. She has a new husband. She has 2 more kids. We all coexist. It's the happiest thing. And I basically sat there at a crossroads of forgiveness saying, am I really going to forgive this? Am I really going to be okay with this? Am I really going to let them stay in the house that I basically built and just put a new kitchen on? And guess what? I took it as a challenge, and because I had practiced it over and over again, that it was a very spiritual thing where that thought of forgiveness, I hadn't decided to do it yet, but it lifted me to a whole new place. And then the book came and everything else came, and everyone's happy. So the miracle of forgiveness and breaking this cycle of hate on a daily basis when someone disagrees or cuts you off, be the one that breaks the cycle of hate. Be the one that rises above it in a glorious transcendence of forgiveness and wave all the time when you're driving, and you'll see the miracles happen.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Okay, thank you so much, K. Scott. K. Scott, thank you very much. Yeah, I guess you do have a pretty big heart, huh? Seriously. Okay. Okay, so listen, guys. I appreciate both of you. Listen, everybody, if you want to check out these guys, go to my website, WilenaTVShow.com, and for those already there, click the links page, and you'll find their books right there on the links page. Hit that link on their book, and it'll take you right to their websites, and you'll find both of them and check them out, review them further. Listen, I want to use my last couple of minutes here, and I'm going to ask you guys, and I want one word, and I'm going to tell you what the word is going to be. If you left home for a short errand to the store, just right around the corner, and the next thing is you woke up and found you had been in a tragic accident and all of your mobility had been taken away, who would you feel is the blame? Yourself, God, the other guy, or someone in the car with you? Joe, which one?
I would say it's the other driver.
K. Scott.
100% myself.
I tell you what, you guys. Did y'all hear that? Listeners and viewers, did you hear that? From 2 different points of view. One says the other guy, and the other one says 100% myself. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to say we out of here. I want to say thank you so much to everybody for joining with us. And these past 3 shows have been the bomb. It's been awesome. But you know what I say to everybody? I always tell you the same thing, and I'm going to continue to say the same thing. Study for yourself. Study for yourself. There's so many different teachings and beliefs out here. You will be confused. So don't wait for the person up front to tell you everything you think you need to know. Get in the books, get in the Bible, get on the internet, get on your phone, do what you got to do, your iPad, do what you got to do, go to the library, get in the encyclopedia. I don't care, but study for yourself. You owe it to you to study for yourself, okay? Don't wait for the person to tell you everything that you need to know. You owe it to you to study for yourself. Y'all know who I am. I'm Marlene, the Las Vegas Queen of Gospel, and y'all know what show this is. This is the Marlena Show, and this is where the rubber meets the road. We'll see you next week.